So, good morning, students. Once again, we continue with A Horse and Two Goats, written by R.K. Narayan, based on the Malgudi Days famous novel written by R.K. Narayan. And we had finished up to page 55. In fact, we had come to the top of page 56. So, we'll go now to page 56 directly, and we shall see what we have on page 56 on your screen. As I am zooming in, you can see page 56, and here we are where we had stopped. Or he could crouch under the belly of the horse for shade. So now the horse was nearly life size. That means life size means it was as big as a real horse. Though it was a statue, it was as big as a real horse. Molded out of clay, baked, burnt. So it was made of molded clay, which was baked in the fire, burnt so that it would harden, and then it was painted and brightly colored, and reared its head proudly. Reared means it had raised its head as if very proudly, prancing its forelegs in the air and flourishing its tail in a loop. So this horse statue, it was as if alive. It gave the impression as though it were alive. The front two legs of the horse were raised, and the head was also raised. So it seemed as though the horse was about to jump. So this is how the statue was made. And the tail of the horse was twisted into a circular loop. That means the horse statue gave the impression that the horse was in movement or in action. Beside the horse stood a warrior with a scythe-like mustachios. So, next to the horse, in my previous video, I have shown you the statue of the horse, and I have also shown you the warrior standing next to it. So, he has huge mustaches, bulging eyes, and aquiline nose. That means very pointed and sharp features, you could say. The horse itself was said to have been as white as a dhobi washed sheet, and had on its back a cover of pure brocade of red and black lace. So the you could say the place where somebody sits on the horse, that was also made with the help of brocade. Now brocade is a kind of cloth or a kind of heavy garment. So the color of the horse was white, and then it had you can say this red brocade on top of it for someone to sit. But actually it was not a real horse, so nobody would be really sitting on it. And it was bordered with black lace, matching the multicolored sash around the waist of the warrior. So there was something matching between the sash of the warrior and the brocade cloth which was on the back of the horse. But none in the village remembered the splendor, as no one noticed its existence. Now, this horse had been there for quite a long time, but the people living in Kritam, the village where Muni belonged, they had probably not taken notice of this horse ever since its existence. Even Muni, who spent all his waking hours at its foot, never bothered to look up. Now, these people are poor, ordinary people from the village, so they have little or no interest in the horse statue. Muni uses it for the purpose of resting under it, because the statue provides him with shade. So that's the reason why he simply doesn't bother to look up and see the details of the horse. So with the eyes of someone who appreciates a piece of art or sculpture, if someone had seen this horse was really beautiful, but Muni simply did not seem to bother. So it was untouched even by the young vandals of the village, who gashed tree trunks with knives and tried to topple off milestones and inscribed Lewid designs on all walls. Now, in village areas, there are some vandals. They resort to vandalism. They make use of sharp objects to cut into the bark of the tree trunks and write their names, or maybe sometimes topple over the milestones and even sketch dirty signs and pictures on walls and make the thing dirty. So this is something which even these vandals had avoided. The horse statue was completely clean, and there were no inscriptions, no markings, and no sign of vandalism on this horse statue. This statue had been closer to the population of the village at one time when this spot bordered the village. So, once upon a time, perhaps the village of Kritam was, it probably had a bigger boundary, and so this horse statue was at the edge of the village. But now, the number of families living in the village have reduced, and so have the poor huts and houses. That's why the statue is now far off from the village. So Muni sat at the foot of the statue, watching his two goats graze in the arid soil. So the soil was dry, it was summertime probably, and the goats were grazing on cactus and lantana bushes. These are all the undergrowths or weed-like things which grow wild in the open areas, especially in rural areas or on the roadside. So the goats can really sustain themselves on these things. So the goats were busy grazing on them. He looked at the sun. It had tilted westward, no doubt, but it was not the time yet to go back home. Now the sun, the position of the sun, poor people, especially rural people, village people, they decide upon the day because they don't have watches, they don't resort to clocks. For them, they just look at the sun, the position of the sun in the sky, or the moon in the sky at night, or maybe the stars in the sky gives them some idea about the time. And so Muni looks at the sun. The sun is now a little towards the west. If it is directly overhead, then it means it is noon. But if it is towards the west, that means it is afternoon. But it was not yet time for him to get back home. So if he went too early, his wife would have no food for him. Also, he must give her time to cool off her temper and feel sympathetic, and then she would scrounge and manage to get some food. So Muni knows this very well, and so he decides to continue sitting there and continue looking after his goats, because it was not yet time for him to go home. He noticed now a new sort of vehicle coming down at full speed. It looked like both a motor car and a bus. So as he was sitting under the horse statue, suddenly Muni saw this vehicle. This vehicle was coming towards him at a top speed, and it was neither a car nor a bus. It had features of both a car and a bus. Now I have shown you already this artist's illustration in the previous video of the vehicle and the American tourist talking to Muni sitting under the horse statue. Now this vehicle is probably a station wagon. So it has the body of somewhat like a minibus, but the front of the vehicle projects out, and so it looks like a car. So he used to be intrigued, really taken aback, surprised, puzzled by the novelty of such spectacles. But of late, work was going on at the source of the river on the mountain, and an assortment of people and traffic went past him, and he took it all casually and described to his wife later in the day everything he saw. So initially, because Muni, as I told you in my previous video also, he has never left this village of Kritam ever in his life, and all that he knows about the outside world is when he comes and sits near this highway where he can see a few vehicles now and then. So initially he used to be really very surprised to look at the different types of vehicles moving along the highway, but now there was some work going on, and so more vehicles were coming in and more outsiders or people were coming in, and that's why Muni was almost accustomed to seeing all sorts of vehicles. Today, while he observed the yellow vehicle coming down, he was wondering how to describe it later to his wife when it spluttered and stopped in front of him. Now, this vehicle was yellow in color, and as this vehicle was coming towards him, suddenly something happened to the vehicle. It made an odd sound, and then it stopped right in front of him. And who should get out of the vehicle? A red faced foreigner. Now, Muni doesn't know who this man is. He has no idea about an American or the country America, nothing like that. So he only knows that this is a red faced man and obviously not an Indian, must be a foreigner. So he gets down from the vehicle, and he was the one who was driving it, and he went round it, stooping, looking and poking under the vehicle. Then he straightened himself up, looked at the dashboard. What is the dashboard? Where the meter console of the vehicle happens to be, all the meters and all the switches. So he looked at the dashboard. Then this man, after having inspected his vehicle, stared in Muni's direction, saw Muni suddenly and approached him. Excuse me, is there a gas station nearby? Now, in the United States of America, they refer to diesel or petrol not as diesel or petrol but as gas or gasoline. So, this man is asking for a fuel pump, or rather a petrol pump. So, he's asking him gas station. Now, gas station is a term used in America. So, excuse me, is there a gas station nearby? Of course, Muni doesn't understand English. So, when this man speaks to him, Muni cannot make out anything that this man was saying. The man continues, or do I have to wait until another car comes? He suddenly looked up at the clay horse and cried, marvelous, without completing his sentence. So, the man was wanting to ask Muni about the petrol pump, but suddenly he noticed the horse statue and he exclaimed, marvelous. That means he was really surprised to see this beautiful horse statue without completing his sentence. Now, Muni felt he should get up and run away. So this is where the comedy lies. Now the comedy actually begins, because Muni does not understand the language of this man, and this man does not understand the language of Muni, and they are asking or talking to each other, and Muni of course is scared, so he felt like getting up and running away and cursed his age. Why did he curse his age? Because he was an old man. He was probably above 60, maybe 70, and he was not in a position to run away even if he wanted to. He could not readily put his limbs into action. The red-faced man wore khaki clothes, evidently a policeman or a soldier. Muni said to himself, now this man is actually a traveler, and being a traveler, a tourist on safari, he is wearing khaki shorts and khaki jerkins, or maybe some kind of shirt with many pockets, which is also khaki in color. Now the khaki color is basically in India basically associated with the law keepers, that is the police. And so Muni was under the impression that this man could be a policeman. So he could be a policeman or maybe a soldier. Muni said to himself, he will chase or shoot if I start running. I better not run, Muni was saying to himself. Some dogs chase only those who run. So he takes up this dog example and he says, there are some dogs who chase and attack people when people try to run. Oh Shiva, protect me. So he's praying to God. I don't know why this man should be after me. He thinks that the man is after him because he is trying to talk to him. Meanwhile, the foreigner cried, marvelous, again nodding his head. He paced around the statue with his eyes fixed on it. So the man is inspecting the statue. He is really impressed by this horse statue, and he is walking around it to see it properly from all directions. Muni sat frozen for a while and then fidgeted. Fidgeted means made some movements, small movements, and tried to edge away little by little if he could move away from the horse statue and then suddenly start running. Now the other man suddenly pressed his palms together, smiled, and said, Namaste, how do you do? So, this man, foreigner, now all foreigners, when they come to India, they probably, this is the first thing that they pick up, that is how to greet an Indian by putting the palms of one's hands together and saying Namaste. So, this man says Namaste, at which Muni spoke the only English expressions he had learned. Now, Muni, in his entire lifetime of 70 years, knows only two English words, yes, no. That's what he says. Having exhausted his English vocabulary, because that is the stock of English words that he has, and he has applied both. So, after having exhausted his stock of English words, he started in Tamil, because he is a Tamilian. My name is Muni. These two goats are mine, and no one can gainsay it. So Muni is trying to give clarification. My name is Muni, and believe me, sir, these goats are actually mine, and nobody can deny that. Nobody can question that. Though our village is full of slanderers these days who will not hesitate to say that what belongs to a man doesn't belong to him. So, in our village, there are many such nasty people who sometimes try to claim the properties of other people and say that it is theirs. But these two goats, speaking the truth, honestly speaking, these are mine. And I am not a slanderer, and I am not a liar. I am not making this up. I am telling you the truth. Because Muni thinks that this man must be a policeman, and he is trying to talk to him, maybe because of his goats, because he must have seen him with his goats. So maybe he wants to know whose goats these are. So that is what Muni thinks, but that is actually not the case at all. So we can understand it, but Muni, poor Muni, is not able to understand. The foreigner faithfully looked in the direction indicated by Muni's fingers. Now Muni was pointing at his goats and was trying to say that these two goats are mine. Gazed for a while at the two goats and the rocks. So the man was not able to understand what Muni is pointing at. So he looked at the goats, and then maybe there were some rocks lying here and there. So he looked at the rocks. He was not very sure as to what this man was saying, and Tamil was a foreign language for this man, so he could not understand. And with a puzzled expression, took out his silver cigarette case and lit a cigarette. So the man, as if to somehow get adjusted to the situation, took out a case which was full of cigarettes, and it was made of silver. He opened it and he took out a cigarette and he lit a cigarette. Suddenly remembering the courtesies of the season, he asked, "Do you smoke?" And then as he lit a cigarette, he remembered, being a courteous man, being from a first world country and being polite, this man said, "Do you smoke?" asking Muni whether he would like to smoke. Muni, we come to page 58, answered, "Yes, no." Now we know that Muni knows only two English words, so Muni says yes, no. Whereupon the red-faced man took a cigarette and gave it to Muni. So because Muni said yes first and then he said no, the man considered this as a response in the positive, but out of shyness, probably Muni had said no after saying yes. And so he gives him a cigarette, who received it with surprise. Now Muni was really surprised, having had no offer of a smoke from anyone for years now. For several years in his life, he has not been offered anything to smoke, and this is happening suddenly, so Muni is really surprised. He had always wanted to smoke a cigarette. Only once did the shopman give him one on credit. Now for Muni's life, you know very well that everything has to be taken on credit. And he remembered how good it had tasted. So only once in his entire lifetime, Muni had been able to procure a cigarette from the shopkeeper of his village, and he had smoked it and he had really enjoyed it. The other flicked the lighter open and offered a light to Muni. Now what happens? After giving him a cigarette, this man, American, he has a lighter with which to light the cigarette. So he flicks it open and holds the flame in front of Muni. Muni felt so confused about how to act that he blew on it and put it out. Muni was so shocked to see suddenly a flame coming out of an object held in the hand that He was so confused because Muni had probably never seen a lighter in his life. He was from such a remote village that maybe a matchbox was at the most what he had ever seen for lighting a fire. And lighter was something new, a novelty for Muni, and so he blew with his mouth to put out the flame. So he was confused. The other means the American, puzzled but undaunted, flourished his lighter. So he was a bit puzzled, but then he did not give up. And once again he lit the lighter and presented it again and lit Muni's cigarette. Muni drew a deep puff and started coughing. It was racking. Now, of course, when you are not accustomed to smoking and if you suddenly take a deep puff at a burning cigarette, then this is what is going to happen. So Muni started coughing. It was a racking cough, no doubt, but extremely pleasant. Well, for Muni, the sensation was pleasant. He was not at all feeling bad about it, though he was coughing. When his cough subsided, he wiped his eyes and took stock of the situation. That means to take stock of the situation means to see what is happening. So once he had overcome the cough, he looked around to see how the situation was going. Understanding that the other man was not an inquisitor of any kind, by this time Muni had understood that this man was not trying to interrogate him. He was probably not a policeman or probably not an interrogator asking him questions. So, yet in order to make sure, he remained wary. Wary means careful. He was on his guard. He could understand that this man is not going to ask questions about his life and about him. So, he could understand it, but then at the same time he decided to be on his guard, not to say anything which could get him into any kind of trouble. No need to run away from a man who gave him such a potent smoke. Potent means powerful. So Muni came to the conclusion that there is no need for him to run away from this man who had given him the scope to smoke a cigarette like this. His head was reeling from the effect of one of those strong American cigarettes made with roasted tobacco. So he was feeling dizzy in his head, but he was loving it. The man said, "I come from New York. I have come from New York." New York is a flourishing and a very densely populated, huge, big city in the United States of America. So he says, "I'm from New York." Took out a wallet from his hip pocket and presented his card. Now, as it happens for a foreigner, he takes out his visiting card and he gives one to Muni. Muni shrank away from the card. When the man was giving him the card, Muni tried to move away. Perhaps he was trying to present a warrant and arrest him. Again, that fear comes back to Muni. Is this man trying to arrest me? Is that a warrant? Arrest warrant? Beware of khaki. One should be careful about people wearing khaki clothes. One part of his mind warned. Take all the cigarettes or whatever is offered, but don't get caught. Beware of khaki. He wished he weren't 70, as the shopman had said. So Muni was at this point of time wishing or hoping that he had not been 70 years old, as the shopkeeper had said the other day to him. At 70, one didn't run, because at the age of 70, a person should not and did not actually run, but surrendered to whatever came, but actually gave himself up to whatever situation he had to face. He could only ward off trouble by talk. By now, Muni was sure that if he wanted to avoid being arrested by this khaki-clad man, who was probably a policeman, he had to talk out of the situation, prove that he had nothing to do with anything, any kind of crime which might have possibly occurred. So he went on. All in the chase Tamil, for which Kritam was famous. So he started talking in the same pure Tamil language for which Kritam, the village, was famous. He said, "Before God, sir, Bhagwan, who sees everything, I tell you, sir, that we know nothing of the case." So I can swear in the name of God and tell you that I have no idea about the case. If the murder was committed, whoever did it will not escape. If the murder had been committed, then whoever has committed the murder, will not be able to escape. Bhagwan is all seeing because God can see everything. Don't ask me about it, I know nothing. So Muni is assuming that this khaki clad man is a policeman and he is asking him questions about some kind of murder which has happened in the area recently. So he is trying to give a kind of clearance about it from his side. And he says, I know nothing. A body had been found mutilated, that means badly injured and badly maybe cut into pieces or something, and thrown under a tamarind tree at the border between Kritam and Kuppam a few weeks before. So between the village of Kritam and Kuppam, Kuppam is probably a neighboring village. In between these two villages, a dead body had been found a few weeks before, giving rise to much gossip and speculation. Now, what happens in a small place? Suddenly a dead body is found, people start talking about it, speculating about it. Who could this body belong to? Who is this man, unknown man who has been murdered? Who could have murdered him? So all sorts of speculations. Muni added an explanation. Anything is possible there. People over there will stop at nothing. So he puts the blame on the people of Kuppam, the other village, which is a neighboring village of Kritam. So he says that the people who live in Kuppam, they are very bad people. Anything is possible for them. The foreigner nodded his head. Now see the fun. The humor lies in the fact that the foreigner is not able to understand anything, but still he is nodding his head and he listened courteously, though he understood nothing. So this is where we will be stopping. We have finished with page 58 and we have come to page 59, first paragraph. So this is where we stop for today, and we will continue from page 59, second paragraph in our next video tutorial. So I hope you have been able to understand. Thank you very much.